is, you know, you only can say one thing about that. That is, I mean, you gotta give a thumbs up and applause for that, especially if you watch that third quarter on Saturday night, where Curry was just hitting threes at random, at will, on everybody completely possible, and really, he was hitting threes over Anthony Davis. It was just looking laughable at one point in time. The thing with the Golden State Warriors is that they're 3-0, and Klay Thompson hasn't done much of anything. Thompson was supposed to be one of these top shooting guards. He's been limited with back problems, so only averaging around 28 minutes a game through the first three games. And really, Curry has been the guy that's been holding up this team while Klay Thompson recovers himself. Draymond Green's been up and down to start the season. But the good news is that the Warriors are at home. They're playing well. They're coming August. They played on Saturday, so hopefully Thompson has a little bit of rest going into his back. And teams normally play traditionally better at home. Now, the one team that you did not want to face going back home after a trip to New Orleans is the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that's physical. Marcus Gasol, Zach Randolph, Mike Conley, Tony Allen. Those guys are physical, mean, nasty. They also have Matt Barnes as well too. But remember, for all the good stuff Golden State's done in the last 50 games, one of three teams that have beaten them in Oracle in the last 50 games has been the Grizzlies, and they did it in the playoffs. So, that being said, you have to watch Mike Conley, who finally started finding his jump shot against Brooklyn on Saturday. 22 points, 8 rebounds in that victory over Brooklyn on the road. If Conley gets a shot going and the Grizzlies start playing tight defense and they can somehow shut down Stephen Curry, which is kind of hard to do, the Grizzlies have a shot at it. Also, if they keep the game under 100 points, that is the key. Golden State can play defense. We're not going to say they can't play defense, but the Grizzlies game is more of that 90 to 87 type game where they're pretty much physically grinding out possessions and using Allen, using Barnes, using Courtney Lee, Mike Conley to wear down those guards and make Draymond Green, who I think is the X factor in tonight's game, work harder for the shots. Also, Andre Iguodala and Harrison Barnes need to find themselves as well too, because they've been winning, they haven't really shown consistency in the first couple games. But if you disagree or want to talk about your team, 407-378-3717 is the number to call in to talk to us this morning. Other games on the schedule tonight. Let's go back with the early games at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The Cleveland Cavaliers travel to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. This should be ugly early. The Sixers are 0-3. The Sixers are 0-2 and haven't looked good in any of those games either. They lost the home opener to the Utah Jazz on Saturday night, 99-71, and looked just awful doing it. The good news is that Jahlil Okafor has actually been scoring, but the bad news is Jahlil Okafor keeps turning the ball over. Okafor had 26 points and 6 rebounds in an impressive first game against Boston. Only scored 10 points against the Jazz, and they're stifling front line Gobert and Derek Favors and those big, tall trees down there. Okafor is the only option they have scoring. Robert Covington is not back. Hollis Thompson actually had a solid game shooting the ball, but really, there's not really any talent on this team. Tony Roden is still out, and they're going against LeBron James in Cleveland, who really, his goal is to play as many games as possible, close to 82. He has the back problems right now, and this could be one of those games where they get out early, LeBron cruises, because really, even LeBron has said it to start the season that Kevin Love is the focal point of this team. He was the focal point, especially the other night against the Miami Heat, where he scored 24 points and 14 rebounds. And really, they want to get Kevin Love more involved in the game. He hit 3 out of 7 from the three-point line. They want to see how Love can pretty much affect the offense and what kind of impact he does. In layman's terms, is play Kevin Love as much as you can, ride him until Kyrie comes back. Then when Kyrie comes back, let him get acclimated to the game. Let LeBron be LeBron. And at the end of the day, when you think about it, at the end of the day, Cleveland will be just fine. They need to get a little bit more effort, more contribution from Tristan Thompson and more from Mozgov. And really the backcourt, especially guys like J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert, have to give you more than what they're giving you. I don't think tonight's much of a test. It should be a blowout. Cleveland should be 3-1 by the time this is over with. 7 o'clock tip-off on the NBA League Pass. You pretty much will get the majority of what you're going to watch before the rest of the games tip off, because Cleveland should blow this team away tonight. Now, anything can happen in the NBA. I just don't think that tonight that the Sixers will get their first win against Cleveland. Other games going on tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks in the 0-3 Bowl. The Milwaukee Bucks take on the Brooklyn Nets at Barclays Center at 7:30. Like I said, both teams are 0-3. The Bucks are coming off a back-to-back. They haven't played their best basketball, but if any time is a good time, tonight's a good night to start over. The Brooklyn Nets have been a team where it's just going to be bad. They don't have much outside of Thaddeus Young and outside of Brook Lopez to speak of. Jared Jackson starting point guard. They haven't gotten much from Joe Johnson, who's averaging a career low 7.7 points a game, 10 points under his career average. He looks lost. He looks a little bit older than normal. But he's not hitting his shots. He's not being consistent. And the Bucks, like I said, haven't had that game where they're going to break out. The good news, Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging 23 points, 9 rebounds over the first 2 games of the season. So he's going to get into it. We all know the Greek Freak is one of the best players in the NBA, especially not the best players, one of the most athletic and versatile players in the NBA. For me, I call him a Swiss Army knife because he has pretty much a bunch of everything. So if he gets involved early, I think Michael Carter Williams and Greg Monroe will have their way should have their way with especially the paint with Brook Lopez, who's not exactly the best defender. But all the good news for Brooklyn, Lopez averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds a game last year in all 4 matchups against the Bucks. So if the Nets can get him going early, get some help from Thad Young, and find some perimeter help, Bogdanovic, and those guys can start hitting threes. They get Joe Johnson, actually have a Joe Johnson type of game. They're actually going to have a chance to win it. So we're going to take a quick break, pay some more bills, and then when we get back, we're going to talk about the final couple games on the schedule for tonight and go into some of the two fantasy hoops. This is the morning tip-off here on Spreaker. We'll be right back after we pay a couple bills.
Welcome to Late Night Parents. I'm your host, Ted Hicks. We have a weekly podcast where we sit down and talk with game changers in the sports, technology, education fields. We even do product reviews and giveaways. Why, you ask? Because we're all parents. So if you're ready for an up-close and personal look, then you can check out our podcast. New episodes are available every Thursday. Catch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That's Late Night Parents. The site is latenightparents.com.
Looking to expand your reach and following in all platforms of media? Need a jumpstart in expanding your brand to all markets across the world? Sofo is here for you. Sofo means something for everyone, and they help expand your business through all platforms of media. Need to grow on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Their experienced team expands your brand and puts your business in places you would have never been before. Call Sofo at 407-607-9862 or follow Sofo LLC on Instagram.
Are you looking for a fun experience on the water with your family? Bring them to the Orlando Water Sports Complex, located off Highway 528 near OIA. The Orlando Water Sports Complex provides an experience you won't soon forget, featuring cable wakeboarding, as well as the Super Air Nautique G23, the world's best wakeboarding and wake surfing boat for guests to enjoy. For more info, visit actionparks.com. That's AKTIONPARKS.com. And tell them Full Court Press sent you.
Listeners, now I know you've heard of this up-and-coming brand Hoop Culture, which is headquartered right here in Orlando, Florida. But here's something that you didn't know. They are opening a flagship store in Fashion Square Mall, downstairs right in front of the movie theater. That's right, the brand that has brought you the iconic Eat Sleep Ball design is bringing their streetwear brand to retail. Stay ahead of the fashion trends. Go visit them online at hoopculture.com or follow them at Hoop Culture. Our listeners save 30% off your next order. Use the code RADIO at checkout.
Are you looking for a fun experience on the water with your family? Bring them to the Orlando Water Sports Complex, located off Highway 528 near OIA. The Orlando Water Sports Complex provides an experience you won't soon forget, featuring cable wakeboarding, as well as the Super Air Nautique G23, the world's best wakeboarding and wake surfing boat for guests to enjoy. For more info, visit actionparks.com. That's AKTIONPARKS.com. And tell them Full Court Press sent you. Are you looking for your dream home? Or are you looking to move out of your current home and find the home to start the next chapter of your life? Look no further. Jim Fouquet with Century 21 Rue Realty is your go-to guy to help you with all your needs. Specializing in West Orange County, Lake County, and Ocoee, his goal is to take care of you from the beginning to the end and is not satisfied until the job is complete. Stop by 401 West Colonial Drive, Suite 7, or give him a call, 321-945-6832. Jim Fouquet with Century 21 Rue Realty.
We are back for the final segment here of the Morning Tip-Off here on Spreaker. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, 407-378-3717 if you're trying to get in for your last limited thoughts, feelings, and emotions over the weekend of NBA action. We still have a couple games left in before we get into our fantasy basketball segment. Tonight, late game in Los Angeles at Staples Center. The 2-1 Phoenix Suns take on the 3-0 LA Clippers at Staples Center at 10:30. The Clippers are trying to go 4-0 for the very first time in Blake Griffin's career, starting a season. The Clippers have just been outstanding on both ends of the court. They took care of the Kings. We didn't have DeMarcus Cousins for the second half of the game on Saturday night, but the Clippers really have been much more of a team, much more balanced, and Griffin has become the superstar of this team, 32 points a game in his first 3 games of the season. And really, what's happened is with the Clippers that they're playing a much different style of game, using Lance Stevenson in the starting lineup, but also letting J.J. Redick, but letting Paul Pierce come off that bench, which makes it much more balanced. Also Jamal Crawford. They're getting a good play from Austin Rivers as well, too. So those 3, Rivers, Crawford, and Pierce, are giving a nice compliment to, of course, Griffin and Chris Paul, who's averaging 22 points a game to start the season. Really, DeAndre Jordan has been the star player to start the season. Jordan 15-18 the other night against Sacramento. As you hear, my daughter's trying to get into the studio here early in the morning. But really, the Clippers have to get more. They have to play more of a team balance, especially in the backcourt, because the Phoenix Suns have a dynamic backcourt of Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight. Knight and Bledsoe are one of the 3 duos in the NBA averaging over 20 points a game. Brandon Knight had 27 points the night against Portland. And really, they have to get, like I said, it would have to be a key effort for them to get this W tonight. Also, the main key in the matchup to watch in this game is Tyson Chandler guarding DeAndre Jordan. Jordan, like I said, had 18 rebounds, is also blocking 5 shots a game for the Clippers. If Chandler, who had a 15-11 game and a 5-11 game, 5-11 game against Portland, had 15-11 on Saturday, if he can get in and play very good defense on Chandler and can affect the game defensively and keep the Suns in it, as long as Markieff Morris can find his jump shot and they can get some other players to jump in besides Bledsoe and Bledsoe and Knight, maybe get some T.J. Warren help, some Devin Booker love, somebody has to step up and hit shots other than the backcourt for this team to win, because we all know Tyson Chandler is not exactly the biggest scoring threat in the world. But that's not here nor there. And really, the Clippers should win this game tonight, in my opinion. Like I said, the Clippers' depth is going to be a concern for most teams that they play against all year anyway, and especially if Lance Stevenson keeps his head in the game. Now, his minutes have been kind of split in half between him and Paul Pierce, and we didn't even mention Josh Smith has been playing pretty well, in his new role in LA. The 9-man depth of the Clippers should wear down, Phoenix. Now, Phoenix getting an up and down game. I like Phoenix's chances, but I think the fact that Chris Paul and Blake Griffin run the pick and roll late in the games, and I don't think Markieff Morris is really there like we say he is, because with Morris his head not being in the game, it kind of takes away a stretch forward that the Suns can use. So, in the final game of the night, and probably the most emotional game of the night, last but not least, but of course I'm thinking about it as the last game, the emotional home opener for the Minnesota Timberwolves happens tonight at 8 o'clock as they take on the Portland Trail Blazers. Minnesota's off to a surprising 2-0 start. They won the opener, and then Friday night they went into Denver. I mean, they beat the Lakers on opening night, without Andrew Wiggins doing much, but had an impressive effort from Ricky Rubio. And then Friday night, Karl-Anthony Towns has 28 points, 14 rebounds, again in his rookie matchup against Emmanuel Mudiay, has led this team to a 2-0 start. It's emotional. They've been playing for Coach Flip Saunders, whose funeral was on Saturday. And really, this, like I said, is the emotional game. They're wearing the patches, the first home game of the season. And for Minnesota, they can go 3-0. A 3-0 start to the season was something that most Timberwolves fans were not expecting. They have so many different things they're looking at, but so many things to deal with. But at the same time, when you have the ability to start the season 3-0, and then, you start season 3-0 and you can do something that hasn't been done in a while, it's going to make a good start for a lot of teams going, especially